A round of applause for the Silver Shadow Dance Academy. That was a wonderful display of our cultural heritage, our local heritage. They came in April, but they might have as well come in October when we climax with celebrations of our cultural heritage. At this time, I want to acknowledge the presence of Minister Stevenson King, Senior Minister and Minister for Public Service, Transport, Information and Utilities Regulations. Welcome. I have the honor, first of all, of inviting Her Excellency Nicole Su, Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan, to St. Lucia to share her remarks.
Honorable Alva Baptiste, Minister for External Affairs, International Trade, Civil Aviation, and Diaspora Affairs. Honorable Richard Frederick, Minister for Housing, Local Government, and Urban Development. Honorable Senior Minister Stevenson King, Minister for Infrastructure, Minister for Information, yes, and Utilities. And Minister Jeremiah Norbert, Minister for Home Affairs, Crime Prevention, and Disabilities. Other government officials of St. Lucia, our Rear Admiral Chen, Squadron of the 2026 cruise ship, not the cruise ship, but then the squadron from Taiwan, and all the officers from the Republic of China.
Bills. Finance Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to present for first reading a bill shortly entitled Appropriation 2026-2027.
Appropriation 2026-2027.
Finance Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move for the suspension of Standing Order number 48-2 to enable this bill to go through its remaining stages at this sitting.
Honourable members, the question is that Standing Order 48-2 be suspended to allow the bill to go through all of its remaining stages at this sitting. I now put the question. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Leave is granted. Please proceed. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move for the suspension of Standing Order number 32-9 to enable the Honorable Prime Minister and Minister for Finance to uninterruptedly introduce the Appropriation 2026-2027 bill for second reading.
Honourable members, the question is that Standing Order 32-9 be suspended to allow the Finance Minister to uninterruptedly introduce the Appropriation 2026-2027 bill for second reading. I now put the question. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Leave is granted. Please proceed, Finance Minister.
Mr. Speaker, allow me to thank my constituents of Castries East and the wider St. Lucian electorate for the endorsement of confidence in the St. Lucia Labour Party on 1st December 2025. This show of confidence is rooted in trust and an undeniable demonstration of putting people first since my administration came into office in July 2021. That resounding victory reaffirms the people's support for the continuation of a government that leads with compassion, acts with integrity, and focuses on people-centered development. In this second term, we will consolidate and advance the gains we have made in furtherance of poverty alleviation, social justice, and wealth creation. Mr. Speaker, we meet at a time when the global landscape is marked by profound uncertainty. Small island developing states like ours continue to navigate a complex and often unforgiving geopolitical environment. Rising global tensions, supply chain disruptions, climate vulnerabilities, and volatile energy prices are no longer distant concerns. They are realities that shape the cost of living in our homes, the opportunities available to our young people, and the pace at which our economies grow. Yet, even as we confront these external pressures, we must also be honest about our own internal challenges, our growing pains as a developing nation. We face issues of citizen security, rising costs, infrastructure demands, and the urgent need to modernize key sectors while ensuring that no one is left behind. These are not easy issues, and there are no shortcuts to solving them. However, we have proven that especially in difficult times, we have responded purposefully. My last 4 budgets indicate a clear pattern of fiscal responsibility, good governance, and putting people first. In that regard, Mr. Speaker, we have introduced a new Department of People's Empowerment to strengthen coordination and delivery mechanisms for more targeted interventions to vulnerable and underserved populations, especially youth, women, and underemployed adults. Mr. Speaker, this year's budget will be built upon the pillars of consolidating our gains of economic growth, reduce unemployment and fiscal stability, economic expansion and fiscal consolidation, improvement in government processes to enhance efficiency in the delivery of services, resilient infrastructure expansion, education as a lifelong learning experience for all, social upliftment for wealth creation. This budget is therefore not presented in isolation. It is anchored in the realities of our time, shaped by the voices of our people, and guided by a singular principle: putting people first. It reflects a careful balance between compassion and responsibility, addressing immediate needs and safeguarding our long-term stability. We understand that leadership in these times requires honesty. It requires making difficult decisions, even when they are unpopular, while ensuring that the most vulnerable are protected. It requires vision, not just to see beyond the challenges of today, but to prepare our nation for the opportunities of tomorrow. Because at the heart of this budget is a simple but powerful belief that the strength of our nation lies in the people. And when we put people first, there is no challenge we cannot overcome. Mr. Speaker, over the last 2 years of infrastructure, my government has pursued an ambitious program of national development that goes far beyond the construction and rehabilitation of roads, strengthening the broader infrastructure across health, education, and expanding access to essential social and economic supports. Mr. Speaker, promises made, promises kept. Mr. Speaker, since our last budget, we have been able to keep our promises made to the people of St. Lucia. Allow me to highlight just a few of these promises. Building infrastructure. Completed the construction of the George F. L. Charles Monument. Construction of the Rockall Housing Project has begun. Construction of condominium-type houses at Talman in Babonneau by the National Housing Corporation has begun. Site preparation for the Super Administrative Building. Construction of the Ansari Bridge completed. Reconstruction of the Bagatelle Road completed. Magnitude Drainage Project completed in Mico North. Anchorage Center Shopping Mall, 20 new businesses open, completed. Major road improvements in several areas, Sufre, Viewport and Grocery completed. Construction works on the Halls of Justice building in the city started. Health infrastructure. Construction of St. Jude's Hospital completed. Dr. Martin Didier Polyclinic in Grosley in the final stages of completion. Renovation and upgrade of the Darius Choiseul and Viewport Health Centers. Education infrastructure. Pastias Early Childhood Development Center upgraded. Tourism infrastructure. Redwy Beach Park facility completed. Global Port Holdings GPH. Construction has started on the following: Broadwalk on the Cashews waterfront, Bannans Bay Fisherman's Park, construction of a new vendors arcade, work on the Sufre waterfront. Community infrastructure. Ancillary Entertainment Center completed. Viewport Fishing Complex repairs completed. The construction of the administrative block of the Northern Divisional Police Headquarters completed, and dormitory. The West Coast Road Ansari Fire Station done and operational. The View lay-by at the Mon, renovations, upgrade and reopening completed. HRD centers in Grand Riviere and Bas Saint Joseph built and completed. Diamond Steel new premises built and completed. Sports infrastructure. James Bergage multipurpose complex upgraded and opened. Tennis Court in Denby South upgraded and operational. Francis Babalastic mini stadium in Grosley upgraded and operational. Playing fields in Cicero, Corinth and Mico lights installed and operational. Justice infrastructure. Swift Justice Project commenced with the opening of the special court opposite the comprehensive school. Mr. Speaker, I apologize if these initiatives sound overwhelming because there are more. Security and emergency infrastructure. St. Lucia Fire Service equipped with new ambulances, fire trucks and vehicles. Education and human development. Implemented period poverty project. Paid 4 CXC subjects per student, up from 2 last year. Increased the subvention to each private preschool operator to $3,000 per annum. Increased education assistance to parents to $5 million. For the first time, temporary teachers employed in the Ministry of Education to be paid in August. Health services and workforce. Permanent employment guaranteed for nurses on satisfactory completion of training and 2 years employment. Permanent employment for contract doctors at OKEU Hospital. Tuition fee paid for nursing students. Outstanding medical expenses on bills due to Martinique Hospital paid. St. Lucia Universal Health Coverage launched with the inclusion of additional services. Economic and social support measures. Electronic passports issued for 10 years at no extra cost. Airport service charges for Caribbean travel reduced by 50% till November 2025. $50,000 incentive for businesses investing in modern technology. Rebates on bulk gas purchases by bakers. Permanent employment for non-established public officers and home care workers employed at SSDF. Income derived from all pensions, tax-free. Income derived from all pensions, tax-free. One-off payment of $600 paid to pensioners. National Insurance Corporation pensions increased in line with the Consumer Price Index. Price of fuel capped at $16 per gallon until 1st January 2026. Maximum allowable deductions increased to $40,000 with greater flexibility for use by taxpayer. 100% allowances on the purchase of health and solar systems. VAT on 70 food items, and 6% service charge on essential food items removed. First ever VAT-free shopping day in December 2025. $500 bonus paid to civil servants. $670,000 paid to boat owners and operators due to losses due to Hurricane Beryl. Began crop insurance coverage, RIP, for banana and plantain farmers with a premium of EC $1 million. $1.8 million paid to banana and plantain farmers affected by black stickatoga disease. Smart hydroponics production system started at Union Agriculture Station. Acquired equipment to remove sarcasm from the coastal communities. Employment created for an additional 285 workers at KM2. Legal transfer of crown lands to suitable occupants commenced. Security and public safety. 52 new firefighters recruited. 160 new police recruits commenced training. Revitalization of the Rangers unit with 46 more Rangers. Today, Mr. Speaker, we continue that work, not only by building more, but by building smarter. But modern infrastructure, what we have built is the confidence that we have restored. This record of delivery is the platform upon which we'll continue to uplift lives by creating an inclusive, resilient, and forward-looking society. Mr. Speaker, the global economy expanded by 3.4% and was characterized by major policy shifts dominated by the imposition of tariffs, political tensions, and heightened uncertainty. Growth in advanced economies slowed to 1.7% in 2025 compared to 1.8% in 2024. So large investments related to technology were experienced amid a sharp decline in net inward migration. Concurrently, in emerging markets and developing economies, GDP growth picked up pace at 4.4% from 4.3% in 2024. Global inflation continued to ease off, declining to 4.1% in 2025 from 5.8% in 2024. Price increases were reduced in most countries. Mr. Speaker, before the recent military actions in the Middle East, inflation was expected to be low to modest, influenced by the continued decline in global price levels. However, since this new military conflict, inflationary pressures are likely to increase, stemming from volatile and high global oil prices and the effects of international shipping disruption on freight, as well as insurance costs on imported items. Regional economic developments. Slower growth was recorded for Caribbean economies in 2025. Excluding Ghana, regional growth slowed to an estimated 0.6% in 2025, down from 1.4% in 2024. Overall growth, including Ghana, reached 4.7%, reflecting Guyana's continued double-digit expansion, although slower than in 2024. Economic performances varied across the region. Service exporting economies, when compared to commodity exporting economies, grew at a slower pace as tourism momentum softened in several tourist destinations and construction moderated as major projects concluded in some regional countries. Weather events also continued to negatively impact economies. Reflecting global trends, inflation eased, falling to an average of 3.4% across the region, down sharply from its peak of 9.7% in 2022. Declining unemployment rates and rising workforce participation were recorded, demonstrating improved labor market conditions in several countries, although disparities persist among youth and women. There was fiscal deterioration in several countries, with higher spending and slower revenue growth. The region's primary surplus narrowed to 0.2% of GDP as expenditure outpaced revenues. In the ECCU, Economic growth slowed to 3% in 2025 from 3.6% in 2024, while with varying outcomes across member states. Output in the ECCU in 2025 was supported by robust construction due to ongoing infrastructure investment coupled with an expansion in the service sectors. Additionally, inflation is likely to increase due to developments in the global market. Domestic economic development. Mr. Speaker, since the decline of our banana industry, following the loss of preferential access to the UK market, tourism has become St. Lucia's main driver of economic growth. To a large extent, the growth of the St. Lucian economy has been a function of what takes place in the tourism sector. Mr. Speaker, the Social and Economic Review states that tourism arrivals fell by 5.6% with a 2.5% decline in stayovers. This decline was due to a loss in hotel accommodation due to the closure of hotels, notably the Starfish, Mystic, and Royal St. Lucian on the Rodney Bay Strip, which has been demolished, causing the loss of more than 500 family-type rooms. Mr. Speaker, the data has indicated that shared accommodation subsector is an important part of the accommodation sector. Data from the St. Lucia Tourism Association indicates a total of 2,100 places in that sector, attracting over 40,000 visitors with revenue approximating 116 million in 2025. These are encouraging signs of locals willing and able to own part of the sector. Secrets Hotel, which closed in 2023 with 200 rooms, reopened in September 2025 with an additional 100 rooms. Mr. Speaker, the anticipated increase in tourism demand has influenced hotel operators to retool, modernize, and expand their hotel plans. Several new rooms will become available this year, which I shall speak about later. Mr. Speaker, with the increased focus on tourism marketing, the island is already seeing an increase in demand, with hotel operators at times having challenges to adjust. We have seen a transition of the economy as more locals have been opening their own businesses through the MSME grant local schemes and the support given by the Youth Economy and the Community Tourism Agency. Mr. Speaker, in 2025, agriculture, which contributes 1.7% to the economy, grew by 7.2%, and manufacturing, with a contribution of 3% to our GDP, increased by 2.7%. Mr. Speaker, construction and financial services, which contributes 5% and 6% to our GDP, grew by 1% and 3.2% respectively. Mr. Speaker, real estate, arts and entertainment, and public administration, which with the respective contributions to GDP of 10%, 2.4%, and 4.6%, grew by 0.2%, 8.1%, and 2.9% in 2025. Mr. Speaker, the wholesale and retail trade, with a contribution of 10.7% to GDP, contracted by 2.3% in 2025. Mr. Speaker, accommodation and food services, which is the broad rubric for tourism, which represents 21% of our GDP, contracted by 5%. Mr. Speaker, according to the 2025 Economic and Social Review, real GDP is estimated preliminary to have decreased by 0.6% in 2025. Mr. Speaker, St. Lucia's fiscal position is solid, as evidenced by the 2025 Economic and Social Review. Our primary balance has increased over the year 24-25, and our overall deficit has been reduced, and our current account surplus has also increased. Mr. Speaker, the government's monetary position continues to improve this year. Banks' foreign assets rose 278.7 million to 4 billion to 4.3 billion. The net foreign assets of St. Lucia's banking system continues to trend upward, rising by 2.8% to 3.1 billion. at the end of December 2025. Mr. Speaker, at the end of December 2025, foreign assets at the ECCB rose by 11.5% to 1.1 billion. This was primarily due to a 119.9 million increase in bankers' reserves, now 680.7 million. Mr. Speaker, at the end of December 2025, there was a 41.6 million increase in the country's foreign liabilities to the ECCB to 94.5 million. Mr. Speaker, the international economic environment continues to be very challenging. The war between Iran, the US, and Israel has resulted in instability in the price of oil, causing an inescapable rise in the price of fuel, electricity, and food globally. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 policy statement has been crafted in a very uncertain environment that is fraught with danger greater than any other point in our independence. So, Mr. Speaker, if the conflict escalates, the economic consequences will result in the rise in fuel and production costs, rising costs of goods, the possibilities of basic shortages, increasing costs of travel, the drying up or slowing down of tourism, the possibilities of layoff and closures of hotels, and the decline in food production because of fertilizer shortages. Mr. Speaker, this is one of the most difficult periods that we have had to face as a country. We have no idea when this global conflict is going to end. It is for this reason, Mr. Speaker, that we are presenting this policy statement under the theme, consolidating our gains, prospering in uncertain times. Mr. Speaker, in one of the most in-depth diagnosis of the current condition now facing the Caribbean, Professor Justin Robinson, a pro-vice chancellor at the University of the West Indies, has warned the Caribbean that we have no choice but to rely on ourselves. In his words, no one is coming to rescue the Caribbean. No one is coming to rescue us. This means this is not a time for disunity. It is clear, therefore, Mr. Speaker, that our only solution to these difficult times is unity at home and unity regionally. Instead of accepting that these are unprecedented times, instead of accepting that this is a time of unusual and new challenges, we see the opposition gleefully celebrating each new moment of uncertainty, hoping that any discomfort among St. Lucians might weaken our resolve and unity and make us less able to meet the challenges of the times. Mr. Speaker, this will not happen. They look for reasons to blame the government instead of accepting that this is not a time for petty partisan bickering and looking for political advantage. Mr. Speaker, in this policy statement, we have carefully devised a program that will allow us not just to survive, but to consolidate our gains, to allow us to continue to grow and prosper while we remain mindful of the words of Buju Bantam. This is not an easy road. Mr. Speaker, public debt. From as early as 2016, when the St. Lucia Labour Party was in opposition, the then leader of the opposition, Dr. Kennedy Anthony, told this honorable House that the party would support any public borrowing that is sustainable, affordable, and would benefit the people of St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, my government has never deflected, denied, or made the public debt a secret. We are the first government to publish a quarterly debt bulletin which clearly indicates the public debt of the country. Mr. Speaker, let me reassure this honorable House that the government has had no difficulty in raising or meeting its obligations as far as debt repayments are concerned. Fact is, Mr. Speaker, there are many investors who are knocking on the government's door every day to commence design finance construct projects on concessionary terms because of the creditworthiness, trustworthiness, and reputation of this government. Mr. Speaker, the official stock of public debt, comprising central government debt, government guaranteed, and public non-guaranteed debt, was 5.4 billion, increasing by 6.5% at the end of December 2025. The total domestic public debt is 2.1 million. Public domestic debt increased by 5.3% over last year. Public external debt accounted for 61.3% and 5.9% over December 24. The debt to GDP ratio at the end of December 2025 is 75.9% as compared to December 2024 of 72.6%. Mr. Speaker, total payments comprising interest and principal is 251 million in 2025. The debt service to current revenue ratio was 23% in 2025 as compared to 21.2% in 2024. Mr. Speaker, the grace period on principal repayments applicable to several loans contracted during the COVID-19 period are now exhausted, accounting for increased principal repayments. Mr. Speaker, global interest rates decreased from September 2025. The weighted average cost of central government debt was 4.68% in 2025 as compared to 4.94% in 2024. Mr. Speaker, small island developing states, in an effort to reduce their debt burdens, are constantly searching for new products such as debt and nature swaps, blue and green bonds, and carbon credits. The Ministry of Finance will be reviewing all possible means of improving the debt environment in the country. In this regard, we note the work of Dr. Hyginus Leon on the eventual establishment of the Development Bank for Resilient Prosperity, DBRP. This bank is designed to take advantage of our rich natural environment to leverage low-cost finance. Local payables. Mr. Speaker, you may recall that in 2022, the government owed suppliers, including utility companies and the National Insurance Company, in excess of $160 million. Mr. Speaker, as at December 2025, the government payables were approximately $20 million. Mr. Speaker, most of these balances are between 30 and 60 days. Mr. Speaker, if there was ever need to demonstrate the effective fiscal management of the economy, this is one of the most visible indicators. Mr. Speaker, let me reiterate that local payables are due to internal customers, and non-payment can affect cash flow and activity in the local economy. Gas prices. Mr. Speaker, you will recall that in the last budget, I capped fuel prices at $16 per gallon from May 2025 to January 2026. And Mr. Speaker, we have kept to that promise. At that time, Mr. Speaker, we had no idea that the world would be plunged into a crisis that would drastically increase the price of oil in the world market to a level that some predict could increase to as much as $200 per barrel. Mr. Speaker, the prices of fuel products based on our pass-through mechanism were adjusted yesterday. And Mr. Speaker, you'll be happy to know that the prices did not change for the next 2 weeks. The prices of the 20 and 22 pound LPG cylinders will remain the same. As a result, Mr. Speaker, the excise tax on gasoline is now $2.05 per gallon, which is $1.45 less than the budgeted excise tax of $3.50. Mr. Speaker, Diesel at $16 per gallon is now being subsidized by $2.34 per gallon. Kerosene is now being subsidized at $8.49 per gallon. Previously, it was subsidized at $3.38. Mr. Speaker, we never stopped the subsidy on LPG 20 and 22 pound of cooking gas. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, the subsidy on 20-pound LPG gas has moved from $23 to $44.34 to $36.04. And the 22-pound LPG has moved from $25.08 to $39.04. This means, Mr. Speaker, that without the subsidy, a 20-pound cylinder of gas would cost the customer $70.04, and the 22-pound, $77.04. Mr. Speaker, the 100-pound cylinder is even more alarming. Even with the increase of $25 on the 100-pound cylinder, the subsidy is still $86.69. Mr. Speaker, if we had listened to the noise of the opposition and tampered with fuel prices for short-term political gain, the situation would have been very different. As it relates to electricity, Mr. Speaker, the government will continue to monitor the price of crude oil and its impact on diesel prices. As is customary, the government will do whatever is necessary to protect the people of St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, this government's commitment to people-centered development is clearly reflected in the evolution of our social investments over the last fiscal period. The data shows a decisive and deliberate increase in social investment, with total allocations rising from 7.5 million in 2025-26 to 9 million in 2026-27, an increase of 1.45 million, approximately 19.3% in social grants and contributions. Across sectors, we observe meaningful shifts that speak to a broader social conscience. Allocations to heritage, national institutions, and community organizations, such as the St. Lucia National Trust and the National Archives, have been strengthened, recognizing the importance of identity and national pride in development. Preservation and national pride in development. In the social and justice sectors, sustained support to institutions like the Legal Aid Authority ensures that access to justice remains a right and not a privilege. Meanwhile, increased provisions for organizations supporting vulnerable groups, including persons with disabilities, signal a government that is expanding its reach to those who need it most. 38% of the funding will be allocated to the Department of Equity. To be allocated to provide relief and support to the homes that cater to the elderly, such as the Marion Home, the St. Lucie Home, and several other homes across the island. Perhaps most telling is the consistent and expanded investment in youth development and community-based organizations, from youth and sports councils across constituencies to national bodies like the Cadet Corps and the Scouts. There is a pattern of a deliberate policy investing in the social fabric of the nation with a focus on discipline, leadership, opportunity, and hope. At a time when fiscal discipline remains essential, this government has made a conscious decision to ensure that national gains are not confined to economic ratios, but are translated into real, tangible support for communities, institutions, and citizens, ensuring dignity, access, and opportunity for all our people. Education. Mr. Speaker, a fundamental belief of my administration is that learning is a lifelong endeavor, and our policies are designed to achieve this national goal. This is why our government places special emphasis on early childhood education, special education, and technical and vocational education, while leveraging enabling technologies within the education system to drive transformative change. Mr. Speaker, during our last term, we introduced the first generation scholarship program and the One University Graduate per Household initiative. These efforts will not only continue, but will be strengthened and expanded during this term. This year, 25 new scholarships will be offered in partnership with Monroe College. The ministry will also engage in discussions with the University of the West Indies with a view to including it in that program. Mr. Speaker, to ensure that St. Lucia remains on the course to become the most technologically driven small island developing state, we must upgrade our classrooms into smart classrooms, enabling learning to become more dynamic, interactive, and better aligned with the needs of the modern workplace. Mr. Speaker, while we continue to integrate modern technology into our education system, we are mindful of the persistent shortage of science and mathematics teachers in our schools. In this regard, government will increase the number of mathematics and science teachers and introduce the concept of a master teacher to strengthen instruction in these critical areas. Mr. Speaker, it may sound cliche, but without effective parenting, many of our children will not attain their full potential. In this regard, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Youth Development and the St. Lucia Social Development Fund will embark on a program to support and partner with parents and families in implementing a national retention and engagement initiative with clear, measurable goals to reduce dropout rates over the next 3 years. Mr. Speaker, in a nutshell, the program will, 1, establish a national system for the early identification of students at risk. 2, identify and promote technical and vocational pathways for students whose strengths lie beyond traditional academic pursuits. Mr. Speaker, while males continue to dominate the dropout figures and boys remain at higher risk, the rate of female dropouts is also rising. Mr. Speaker, this program will target support to most vulnerable farmers, strengthening counseling, mentorship, and behavioral support, and a senior student support program focusing on Forms 4 and 5. Early childhood education. Mr. Speaker, this year, universal early childhood education will continue to be a priority of the government, as a child's formative years are the most critical and receptive for learning. Mr. Speaker, we will develop an early childhood curriculum as a critical tool to standardize services across the sector to ensure the consistent delivery of high-quality early learning experiences. We'll undertake the comprehensive assessment of early childhood centers across the country, encompassing both public and private institutions, and will strengthen the capacity of early childhood educators and practitioners with early childhood subsector through training. In this year's budget, we have committed over $1 million to commence these initiatives. TVET, transformation, and care collaboration. Mr. Speaker, to narrow the skills gap and expand skills-based education in response to market demand, we transformed 4 secondary schools into technical and vocational training TVET institutes, marking a significant milestone in realizing alternative pathways for students. In this fiscal year, recognizing the long-standing contribution to adolescent education, the Ministry will deepen its partnership with the Center of Adolescent Renewal and Education, CARE, through a 3-pronged strategy, which includes 1. The expansion of post-primary alternative pathway program. 2. Implementation of a revised program within selected secondary schools to support positive behavioral development, reduce school dropouts, and address disciplinary challenges by teaching essential social and life skills. 3. Introduction of an out-of-school innovative strategy to provide structured training opportunities that enhance workforce readiness and employability. Mr. Speaker, additional support will be given to skills training and development under the OECS Skills and Innovation Project to develop national TVET standards as well as a training program curricula for 4 priority areas aligned with labor market demands. Mr. Speaker, the program will also provide training subsidies for vulnerable learners at the National Skills Development Center, a grants management facility to promote innovation and entrepreneurship through research and skill-based projects will be introduced. The Program for Education Realignment and Transformation, PUT, will establish TVET laboratories and workshops at selected secondary schools to be upgraded with modern industry standard equipment. Youth development and sports. Mr. Speaker, youth development remains a national priority for my administration. In the last term, we invested heavily in the youth of our nation. In this term, we have committed to placing even greater emphasis on youth development. The National Youth Policy 2025-2030 was approved by Cabinet to provide a strategic framework for youth empowerment across 8 priority areas, namely education and lifelong learning, economic participation, health and well-being, safety, security, and peaceful coexistence, participation, rights, and empowered citizenship, information and communication technology and mass media, environment, climate change, and disaster risk reduction, and mainstreaming youth priorities across all youth development sectors. This policy marks an important step towards ensuring that youth development remains integrated into broader national planning and decision-making processes. Mr. Speaker, we believe in the holistic development of young people. Guided by this principle, we intend to integrate the social, economic, and health benefits of sports into the development of our youth. In this regard, we'll enhance the capacity of the Ministry of Youth Development and Sports to develop programs in collaboration with youth agencies for successful implementation in schools and communities. Mr. Speaker, we are encouraged by the success of the semi-professional football and cricket leagues. And will continue to provide resources to improve on the outcomes. These leagues provide a platform for positive engagement, self-development, crime prevention, employment and opportunity, and recruitment by professional clubs. Sports continue to serve as both a developmental and unifying force among the youth. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry will continue to promote grassroots level school-based athletics and community sporting programs for early talent identification, promoting healthy lifestyles and fostering discipline and teamwork among young people. Mr. Speaker, in this term, we intend to develop and implement a comprehensive youth mentorship program with local organizations and community leaders to provide guidance and support for the personal development of our young people. We also intend to establish a national strength training gym for elite athletes and collaborate with CDF to establish a youth education and awareness program to promote St. Lucia's rich cultural expressions, including traditional dance and song. This year, we will commence the refurbishment of the George Odlum Stadium to return it to its rightful owners, the athletes of St. Lucia. The ministry will continue the regular maintenance and rehabilitation of sporting facilities across the island to ensure all communities across the country have a fit-for-purpose training and playing facilities for recreation, health, and sports development. This will include the installation of sporting equipment at various sporting facilities to support the different sporting disciplines. Health. Mr. Speaker, this government remains unwavering in its commitment to building a healthcare system that is accessible, equitable, affordable, and of the highest quality for every citizen of St. Lucia. In this fiscal year, we will deepen our reform agenda, one that strengthens resilience, expands access, modernizes infrastructure, and ensures sustainability in the face of emerging global and domestic challenges. Mr. Speaker, we have expanded access to care across the country, strengthened our infrastructure, and accelerated the transition from a system focused on treating illness to one that prioritizes prevention, early detection, and community-based care. Mr. Speaker, one of the most transformative initiatives of this administration is the advancement of universal health coverage, UHC. We promised the people of St. Lucia that we would create a structured, transparent, and sustainable system to finance healthcare both locally and internationally. Today, I am pleased to report that following extensive consultation across the public and private sectors, draft legislation for the Universal Health Coverage Authority has been completed and will be laid before this Honorable House. This legislation will establish the Universal Health Coverage Authority, define a comprehensive benefits package, introduce modern digital systems, create a clear governance structure, and provide sustainable financing mechanisms. Already, we have begun expanding services under the UHC. For example, cancer screening, previously a costly procedure, is now available at no cost to our citizens. Mr. Speaker, prevention remains the cornerstone of a sustainable health system. We have significantly expanded preventative health care. Thousands of St. Lucians have benefited from screening programs for diabetes, hypertension, and cancer. Women across the island now have greater access to cervical and breast cancer screening, including mammograms, biopsies, while men are increasingly accessing prostate screening services. Maternal health services have been strengthened, with thousands of women receiving essential laboratory testing and ultrasounds, ensuring healthier pregnancies and better outcomes for mothers and children. We have screened in all 8,975 individuals for diabetes, hypertension, elevated cholesterol using modern digital tools. Through expanded point-of-care testing, patients are now receiving faster diagnosis and earlier interventions. Mr. Speaker, this government is deliberately shifting the system away from late-stage treatment towards early detection and community-based care on a model that is humane and economically sound. In 2026-27, we will place greater emphasis on nutrition and healthy living. We will convene a national nutrition conference, initiatives to ensure balanced diet and portion control, expand workplace wellness and physical activity programs. Mr. Speaker, the fight against non-communicable diseases must begin not in the hospital, but in our homes, in our schools, and in our communities. strengthen mental health systems. Mr. Speaker, no modern health system is complete without a robust response to mental health. This year, we will develop a national mental health policy, introduce enabling legislation aligned with international standards, and expand community-based mental health services. This represents a critical step in addressing stigma, improving access, and ensuring that mental health is treated with the same urgency and dignity as physical health. Investing in health infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, we continue to invest significantly in health infrastructure to meet the growing demands of our population. St. Jude Hospital, long awaited by the people of the South, is now in the advanced stage of commissioning. Several departments are already providing services, including physiotherapy and administrative support. At the Millennium Heights Medical Complex, we have taken decisive action to address overcrowding. The secondary care wing at the Sir Winston Paris Medical Complex is now operational, expanding bed capacity. Plans for the fifth wing have been finalized, with construction set to commence this year. We have also strengthened frontline services through advanced clinical training, improved triage systems, enhanced trauma response capabilities, expanded oral health and specialist services. Additionally, the National Blood Bank has been upgraded with modern equipment and increased storage capacity, improving turnaround times and saving lives. Mr. Speaker, technology is playing an increasingly vital role in healthcare delivery. The St. Lucia Health Information System has been upgraded and is being rolled out across wellness centers, enabling better integration of patient records and improving continuity of care. We have also implemented an events-based surveillance system, allowing for real-time detection of public health threats, an essential tool in an era of global health uncertainty. Environmental health and public safety. Mr. Speaker, good health is deeply connected to a productive environment. We have strengthened water quality surveillance systems, food safety regulations, environmental sanitation standards, oversight of hazardous trades. In the coming year, we will review and strengthen environmental health legislation to ensure that our communities are cleaner, safer, and more resilient. Human resource development. We recognize that a strong health system requires a strong workforce. This year, we will recruit additional district and senior medical officers. We will expand healthcare services at the Bordelais Correctional Facility. We will develop policy responses to global health workforce shortages. Mr. Speaker, we are mindful of emerging external risk, including shifts in international medical cooperation. Government is taking proactive steps to ensure that our system remains resilient and self-sufficient. Mr. Speaker, the progress made over the past year reflects a health system in transition, from reactive care to preventative care, from fragmented services to integrated services, from hospital-centered treatment to community-based care. This transformation is deliberate, strategic, and necessary. Social protection. Mr. Speaker, the government continues to address the needs of the vulnerable, the underserved, and the differently able. The Public Assistance Program, PAP, provides cash transfers to approximately 3,500 households, offering essential economic support to those most in need. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Equity is currently reviewing the program's beneficiaries with a view to making the necessary adjustments to ensure that the objectives are effectively met. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Equity is working in partnership with the Social Development Fund and in collaboration with NGOs and faith-based organizations to implement non-legalistic strategies aimed at reducing crime and violence, particularly among at-risk youth, especially young men. The programs will include the re-establishment of youth and sports clubs to reduce antisocial behaviors and promote positive engagement. After-school programs will also be expanded with a particular focus on young adult males. Mr. Speaker, gun violence is having extremely negative effects on communities. Mr. Speaker, in collaboration with the non-government organizations, community police, and the SNN Social Development Fund, targeted interventions will be intensified to address gun violence. The Ministry of Equity will also embark on initiatives to make meaningful use of the talent and experience of older persons, contributing to the development of a silver economy. The Ministry of Equity, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, will complete the home for elderly persons in Soufrière. Healthcare workers will be trained to manage age-related conditions such as dementia, and support will be provided to organizations assisting individuals with Alzheimer and other related conditions. Mr. Speaker, this year we'll examine the discrepancies among various pieces of legislation regarding the age of sexual consent and the definition of childhood, with a view to ensuring greater consistency. We'll also amend the Adoption Act to streamline procedures and improve efficiency. Inclusion and rights for persons with disabilities. Mr. Speaker, the government has made historic strides towards building a more inclusive and equitable society, particularly through initiatives supporting persons with disabilities. A key development is the creation of the National Disability Registry, which will provide reliable data for policymaking, improve service delivery, inform national budgeting. Additionally, work is underway to modernize disability legislation in alignment with the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, reinforcing commitments to equality, dignity, and accessibility. Key priorities for the upcoming financial year include a nationwide rollout of the Disability Registry, completion of modern disability legislation, establishment of an accessible department for persons with disabilities, expansion of social protection programs, and support services. Mr. Speaker, these initiatives mark a shift towards a rights-based developmental model, ensuring that all citizens can fully participate in national life. People Empowerment Project. Mr. Speaker, the Department of People Empowerment is well placed to play a critical role in fostering partnerships across various line agencies to advance the lives of individuals and the community. Initiatives under the People's Empowerment Project will improve the lives of persons, enabling them to become independent and gradually reducing their dependence on public assistance from the government and other sources. The focus will be on improving their health, livelihood opportunities, living conditions, and ultimately a reduction in poverty. The People's Empowerment Project will focus on the following target groups of persons often forgotten by society: vulnerable persons, poor and indigent, underserved, and differently abled. These challenges can be mitigated through targeted financial assistance and social support programs aimed at reducing overall dependence on ongoing assistance. The department has designed initiatives to help individuals access necessary health care services, develop sustainable livelihoods through business support and skills training, and improve their housing conditions. Collectively, The following measures would contribute to better health outcomes, economic stability, and an enhanced standard of living for affected populations. Water harvesting and rainwater harvesting and supporting infrastructure. Programs for improved human condition through healthier lifestyles. Provision of sporting education, medical equipment. Improved quality of housing. Contribution to the Center for Adolescent Renewal and Education Care Program. Recreation of the artisan trade. Enhanced business opportunities for vulnerable groups. Education grant programs. Student behavior, student retention improvement programs, general support for the vulnerable, and agricultural inputs for hobby farming. This project will be grant funded by the government of the Republic of China, Taiwan, in a total of $4,800,000. Mr. Speaker, the holistic opportunity for personal empowerment, HOPE program continues to stand as a pillar of this government's inclusive development, targeting the most vulnerable while building pathways to long-term sufficiency. Mr. Speaker, key accomplishments of HOPE in 2025. In 2025, HOPE program delivered tangible and widespread support across St. Lucia. Over 476 beneficiaries supported through direct economic interventions with total expenditure of $1.17 million. Support was delivered in housing, medical education, social income, burial, entrepreneurship, and infrastructure projects. Strengthening civil society through the HOPE sponsorship program, 75 community initiatives were funded with over $80,000, empowering NGOs, schools, and community groups. Critically, the HOPE job placement program delivered meaningful employment opportunities to 152 individuals. New and continuing initiatives for HOPE. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, the government will upscale and strengthen the HOPE program with a focus of sustainability, access, and long-term empowerment. Expansion of job placement pathways, enhanced monitoring and appraisal systems, increased community investment for sponsorship, deepening socio-economic support, strengthening the constituency development program, social allocation. Improve access to support services, streamlining access for parliamentary representative offices to ensure timely and equitable distribution of assistance. Mr. Speaker, the HOPE program represents a strategic investment in people, creating opportunity, restoring dignity, and strengthening the social economic fabric of St. Lucia. Funding for the HOPE program will be increased by $1 million in this financial year. Mr. Speaker, the St. Lucia Labour Party was established to improve the quality of life for the workers of St. Lucia. Under the leadership of Sir George F.L. Charles, the founding father of the Labour Party, and the continuing leadership of Sir Julian Hunt, Sir Alan Louisi, Dr. Kenny Anthony, it has become clear that protecting workers required giving them a voice in shaping the political direction of the country. This vision led to the advocacy of one man, one vote, or adult suffrage. Mr. Speaker, the workers of this country are in a better position when Labour is in power. The establishment of a minimum wage stands as a clear and tangible example of the Labour Party's commitment to the welfare and well-being of workers. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Labour has initiated a comprehensive review of the Labour Act and its regulations, with a focus on bridging the gap between existing legislation and modern workplace practices while taking into account international labour standards. This year, we will see the development of the implementation of a national occupational safety and health policy. Mr. Speaker, to facilitate consensus and meaningful dialogue between employers and employees, a national tripartite advisory committee will be established to address labour market challenges in St. Lucia. St. Lucia will be developing its first decent work country program, ensuring that national growth is inclusive and grounded in the 4 pillars of the decent work agenda: employment creation, social protection, rights at work, and social dialogue. To ensure efficiency in processing data collection, an online application for work permits will be introduced. Agriculture. St. Lucia, once a single crop economy, has transitioned to a tourism-dominated and financial services-based economy. However, agriculture is still a major contributor to employment in the rural community, sustains food security, and provides food products to the tourism industry, mitigating the impacts of climate change and volatility, high input costs, and shortage of labor. Banana industry. Mr. Speaker, the banana industry, although no longer exported to traditional international markets, increased its sales to the region last year. Last year, the government distributed 66 gallons of free spraying oil to address the black sigatoka disease prevalent among banana and plantation farms. To manage the impact of climate volatility, the Regional Agro-Insurance Program, RIP, was pioneered in the OECS by the St. Lucia government. This year, through the One Banana Child program, the One Banana Per Child program, the government will work with banana farming organizations to ensure that farmers get a guaranteed market for their produce and children get the nutritional value from the product, increase exports to regional markets, expand regional markets for exports, and working with the Ministry of Commerce and the youth economy to encourage value-added products using bananas as a raw material. Livestock. Mr. Speaker, the livestock sector demonstrated positive growth this year with increases in the sales of local chicken and swine. This year, the Ministry of Agriculture plans to introduce improved pig species and an artificial insemination laboratory. The poultry subsector continues to increase, with farmers taking proactive measures to replenish their flocks by ordering their own day-old chicks to ensure that eggs were available in the December peak season. Mr. Speaker, with a growing tourism sector and global supply chain challenges, addressing food and nutritional security remains a top priority for the country. St. Lucia is part of the CARICOM 2025 initiative to reduce the region's food import bill by 25% by 2045. To achieve these 2 objectives, youth participation in agriculture is critical for sustained growth and expansion. Over the past 2 years, the Ministry of Agriculture has introduced a series of smart farming practices, innovations, and value-added projects to attract and support youth participation in agriculture. These include the expansion of the hydroponics project at Union to other locations on the island, intervention for water security, soil conservation and management, tree rehabilitation and expansion, targeting of 100 acres in the valley, expansion of food crop production, and the Fish Adapt project to build resilience in the fisheries sector and cushion the impact of climate change on the livelihood of fishers. Mr. Speaker, the investment in agriculture has resulted in the overall growth of the sector. Livestock production of table eggs, pork, poultry, sheep, and goats registered steady growth. Fish landing shows a 10% increase over 2024. Over the next 2 years, under the UBEC program, US $3.2 million is expected to be spent on programs to enhance the fisheries subsector. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry will continue to work with the farming community to reposition agriculture as a major contributor to St. Lucia's GDP and rural development. The main priorities areas this year will include expansion in food production, building climate resilience in farming systems, increasing adoption of technology and innovation, expansion of the fisheries subsector, increasing outputs in value-added products, strengthening the supply linkage with the tourism industry, and creating more opportunities for youth and women in agriculture. Mr. Speaker, production levels of non-traditional crops have increased from 3,000 tons in 2024 to 4,900 tons in 2025. This year, the main priorities are expanding crop production in targeted crops, investment in climate resilient programs to protect farmers and agricultural outputs, a continued focus on agricultural innovation of food production systems, expansion of the fisheries subsector, and the addition of 4 fish aggregating devices or FADs. Working with Export St. Lucia to improve the export of sea moss and honey products, expansion of the livestock sector, expanding capacity in value added, expanding opportunities for youth and women in agriculture. Physical development. Mr. Speaker, this government remains unwavering in its commitment to streamlining processes, modernizing our institutions, and improving the ease of doing business in St. Lucia. We understand that economic growth is driven not only by investment, but also by efficiency and transparency of the systems that support this investment. In this financial year, we are advancing a series of targeted interventions across physical planning, land administration, and digital transformation to remove long-standing bottlenecks and create a more business-friendly environment. Through the Ministry of Physical Development, we are strengthening our planning framework with the establishment of a forward planning unit, supported by the development of a climate-resilient integrated national land use plan with grant funding from the Caribbean Development Bank. These will provide clear guidance on where and how development should take place, giving investors the certainty they need to make informed decisions. Equally important is our effort to modernize the Development Control Authority, DCA. We are moving decisively towards implementing an online application portal that allows developers and citizens to submit and track applications digitally. This will significantly reduce processing times, improve transparency, and eliminate unnecessary physical visits, making a major step forward in improving the ease of doing business. Mr. Speaker, the digitization of government services continues with the rollout of the e-land registry system, a transformative initiative under our broader digital agenda. This system will allow for the online registration of land transactions, including sales, mortgages, and subdivisions, as well as digital access to land records and online payment of fees. To support this transition, we are investing in the digitization of records, strengthening our legal framework to enable a paperless environment, and ensuring that necessary digital infrastructure is in place to guarantee reliability and efficiency. Mr. Speaker, we are also advancing the development of a national addressing system, building on our street naming and mapping initiatives. A proper addressing system improves service delivery, enhances logistics, and facilitates business operations across the island. In addition, we are addressing one of the long-standing structural challenges in our economy: informal land tenure. Through the Crown Land Special Rationalization Project, we are regularizing land ownership for qualifying occupants. This intervention will empower citizens with legal title, enabling them to access financing, invest in their properties, and participate more fully in the formal economy. WASCO. Mr. Speaker, the people of St. Lucia are not satisfied with the reliability of the water supply in most parts of the island, particularly in the dry season. Government has taken the decisive position that the entire administration of WASCO will come under review. In this regard, Cabinet has formed a committee to work in conjunction with the International Financial Corporation of the World Bank, the IFC, to prepare an appropriate public-private partnership, PPP framework for WASCO. In the meantime, WASCO will work on the following projects: the Patience Water Supply Redevelopment Project, which is expected to provide 4,700 persons in the Miku area with 420,000 gallons of water. This project is costing $5.35 million and will be completed in September. Upgrade of the pipeline from Bonte to Grosili. Mr. Speaker, this project entails the replacement and upgrade of the pipeline from Bonte to Grosili. Finance has been secured, a contract has been signed, and the project will begin soon. Tibbles Water Supply Rehabilitation Project. The project seeks to restore the production capacity of the Tibbles treatment plant to its original capacity of $10 million per day, 10 million gallons per day. The project will be financed by the Caribbean Development Bank at an estimated cost of $13.64 million, and procurement of contractors is ongoing. John Compton Dam Raw Water Pipeline Replacement Project. To replace and upgrade a 5-kilometer section of the John Compton Dam Raw Water Pipeline from Millet to Vanna. The upgrade will consist of the installation of a 42-inch iron pipeline in place of the existing 24-inch mild steel pipeline. Finance for the project is expected from the Caribbean Development Bank, and procurement for consulting firms is ongoing. The project is expected to commence early in 2027. Renewable energy. Mr. Speaker, if there was ever a time when St. Lucia was to consider and implement renewable energy as an alternative to fossil fuels, it is now. Current world events are showing the uncertainty and the volatility of fossil fuels. Mr. Speaker, nearly all electricity consumed in St. Lucia is generated from diesel and fuel imports that account for a significant share of our national import bill. When global oil prices rise, the cost of living in St. Lucia rises with it. This year, government will pass the Electricity Supply Act to formalize the sustainable commercial and domestic use of alternative and renewable energy sources. This year, we will implement strategic energy investments such as the Caribbean Efficient and Green Energy Buildings Project, which is a regional initiative designed to modernize the public sector's energy use in St. Lucia and the region. The project's primary goal is to save energy, increase renewable energy capacity in public facilities, and strengthen the national regulatory framework for investment. The project comprises the public sector retrofitting of 150 public buildings with energy-efficient systems and rooftop solar panels. Regulatory development that is to ensure long-term sustainability by modernizing national tariff policies, net bidding regulation, and updated grid codes, implementation and capacity building. This project aims to expand the project implementation unit within the Ministry of Physical Development by providing technical assistance to project management and related functions. Mr. Speaker, the project is slated to run for 5 years with designated targets of creating green and blue jobs in the local maintenance sectors. Caribbean Resilient Renewable Energy Infrastructure Investment Facility. The Caribbean Resilient Renewable Energy Investment Facility is an initiative designed to transition the national energy sector from its heavy reliance on imported fossil fuels towards a sustainable, low-carbon future. The project is expected to cost in excess of US $30 million. Geothermal energy. Mr. Speaker, exploration for geothermal energy is continuing. The Exploration Management Consultant, the EMC, has been extended by 6 months. The Exploration Management Consultancy has been extended by 6 months to enable processing of the tender process. Preparatory work for exploration and drilling has started. These include preparation of a drilling tender document, a contract for the installation of a seismic installation system, and identification of buildings that will be displaced by the proposed drilling. Mr. Speaker, technical assistance is being sought for the drafting of a geothermal bill and regulations. Survey plans for the peat management area have been completed, a requirement for maintaining the UNESCO World Heritage status. Mr. Speaker, the renewable energy sector development plans are laying the groundwork for a modern renewable energy sector aimed at reducing St. Lucia's dependence on fossil fuels. Major public sector infrastructure projects. St. Jude Hospital reconstruction project. The buildings have been refurbished, the infrastructure updated, and modern equipment installed. Testing and commissioning are on the way, with full occupancy planned later this year. Upcoming efforts will focus on finalizing the equipment installation, system testing, and regulatory certification before operational handover. The Hall of Justice project. This project modernizes justice sector infrastructure for a 7-story judicial complex in Castries. Supporting improved access and efficiency, construction began in August 2025 and is progressing with adjustment made to recover from delays. Key system procurement continues, and the coming year will focus on superstructure completion and preparation for internal finishing works. Police Headquarters project. The new headquarters aims to enhance coordination and efficiency within the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. Currently, procurement is being evaluated and the build-own lease transfer arrangement is being refined. Next steps include finalizing procurement and advancing to the design stage. Beaufort Administrative Complex and Amphitheater. The Beaufort Complex will centralize government services and support the development of the arts. Work continues on planning, defining services, and coordinating stakeholders. The 2026 focus is on finalizing the scope, procurement, and preparation for implementation and construction this year. The Castries East and North Human Resource Development Center. The long awaited Castries East Human Resource Development Center is to be built near the Bocage Secondary School to serve the constituencies of Castries North and Castries East. Designs have been finalized and construction will begin this year. The new Canaries Jetty rehabilitation. The new Canaries Jetty rehabilitation is completed and will be officially opened this year. Sufre Administrative Building. Construction on the Sufre Administrative Building project to improve the delivery of government services within the Sufre region through the establishment of a centralized and modern administrative facility will commence this year. Northern Divisional Police Headquarters. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to report that the administrative section of the Grosse Northern Police Headquarters is now complete. Telephone connectivity and communications have been restored in all areas, including internet connections. And Mr. Speaker, the Northern Headquarters administrative section is now being occupied by the officers. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud, very proud, that this government has finally given the police the premises that they deserve after years of neglect, missteps, false promises, and balls. Hiwanora International Airport. Mr. Speaker, work on the Hiwanora Airport redevelopment program will continue this year. Currently, the new air traffic control tower, the ATC tower, is at 52% complete and scheduled to be completed later this year. Mr. Speaker, concerning the terminal building, an international open tender was the mode of procurement. Concerning the terminal building, an international open tender was the mode of procurement. In July 2025, requests for proposal for the terminal building and airside packages were internationally published. On November 30th, 2025, a total of 7 bids were received, comprising a technical and financial bid, and these were opened by the SLASPA Tenders Committee. The technical evaluation has been completed, and 3 of the same firms advanced to the financial bids opening. Financial bids are currently being evaluated. A contractor will then be selected, and construction will begin this year. Parliament Building. Mr. Speaker, the Parliament of St. Lucia is the highest decision-making body in the country, and all would agree that it should be housed in appropriate premises. Currently, the building's environment is inadequate, and no significant renovations have been undertaken to expand or modernize the Parliament facilities. Considering this, The government commissioned an independent engineering assessment to determine the building's structural integrity. The independent engineering assessment, the principal finding of the engineering report reads as follows. The Parliament building is structurally, reads as follows, and I quote, the Parliament building is structurally capable of continued service. The primary reinforced concrete frame in place for more than 7 decades shows no signs of global instability, foundation distress, or failure of a type that would justify demolition, abandonment, or permanent restriction of occupancy on structural grounds. The defects recorded during the field service are predominantly localized and age-related and are amenable to targeted repair and strengthening. That's for an engineer, Mr. Speaker. We'll not call his name, but that's an engineer by an engineer who is qualified. Mr. Speaker, the next steps are the costing of the renovations, funding sources, and refurbishment will begin this year. An amount of $500,000 has been placed in this budget to start this work. Infrastructure expansion. Mr. Speaker, in the last 2 budgets, we allocated a considerable amount of resources in infrastructure development. This fiscal year, we will advance work on some road infrastructure projects, having secured the required finance, road designs, and planning approvals. We have completed the upgrade and rehabilitation of the Vieux-Sequier-Norbert Road in preparation for major works from Shock to Grosley. The road will be constructed in 3 sections: Shock to Marisil, Marisil to Monjiro, and Monjiro to Grosley. That's Philip. That's Philip. Mr. Speaker, construction will begin from Monjiro to Grosley. A loan agreement was signed on 13th October 2025 with the Kuwaiti Fund for Arab Economic Development, KFED, in the amount of 4 million Kuwaiti dinars, approximately US$ 13 million or EC dollars 34.7 million. The government of St. Lucia has secured the parliamentary resolution requested by KFED. Loan agreements for EC 56.3 million have been secured. The construction will include upgrading of the existing roadway from Moshi Junction to Grosley into a dual carriage, sidewalks, 4 pedestrian overhead crossings, and 3 roundabouts. The final designs were submitted to the Department of Infrastructure on March 6, 2026. Tender documents have been prepared. And it's expected to go on international tender next month. Shock Bridge. The government of St. Lucia, for the Ministry of Infrastructure, will undertake the reconstruction of the Shock Bridge. The project aims to expand the bridge to 4 lanes, enhance climate resilience, improve traffic flow between Cashel and Grosley, and increase hydraulic capacity to reduce flooding. Implementation will occur in 3 stages. 1. Completed design of abutments, happened in January this year. Construction of the abutment and superstructure, estimated to take 1 year. 2026-27, following tender and award, invitation to tender to commence at the end of April 2026. Installation of a modular Atlas bridge supplied by Acro Global Limited will be installed between May and June 2027, with the existing bridge serving as a temporary bypass. The total estimated cost of the project is $21 million. Mr. Speaker, motorists are likely to experience some inconvenience during construction. When completed, however, travel times will be significantly reduced on the stretch of road from Castries to Rosalie. West Coast Road reconstruction project will be completed this year. The Road Investment and Maintenance Program, RIM, will be implemented across the country. The program on slope stabilization to mitigate landslides and protect the national road network will be continued, and allocations have been made for maintenance of public buildings and roads. Mr. Speaker, the ongoing rehabilitation of the National Archives building will continue, and repair and rehabilitation works will be undertaken on the Upton Garden Girls facility. Road safety. Mr. Speaker, the government is intensifying its work to strengthen traffic laws and improve overall safety across the national road network, with a renewed focus on critical infrastructure such as clearly defined road markings, the installation of road guards, and enhanced visible signage. But, Mr. Speaker, this is not to excuse the need for responsible driving. This is not to excuse the need for responsible driving and the need for the enforcement of the existing laws that promote safe driving. The recklessness on our roads by some drivers must stop. These measures are part of a broader commitment to ensure that our roads are functional and safe for both motorists and pedestrians alike. While the government will continue to invest in upgrading and maintaining road infrastructure, equal attention will be given to strengthening and enforcing the road traffic laws, ensuring that all road users act responsibly and in accordance with established laws. Housing. Mr. Speaker, St. Lucia's housing stock deficit has been a concern of this government. Efforts are being made to reduce its deficit with the construction by the National Housing Corporation of multifamily condominium-style residences at Talman. In an effort to encourage expansion of quality homes, there has been an ongoing land rationalization of government lands by the Ministry of Housing and the Ministry of Physical Development to occupants of these lands for more than 30 years. Qualifying citizens in Vieux-Fort, Pom, and Auger will qualify. The land and associated legal costs are free to beneficiaries. Mr. Speaker, this means that these occupants will be given their deed of sale free of charge. The government will meet all the legal fees associated with that transfer. By becoming legal landowners, they will be able to collateralize their homes, to borrow money from a financial institution, expand their homes, start a business, to leverage their assets, and borrow for educational purposes. Mr. Speaker, the National Site and Service Program will provide service lots at affordable prices to citizens living in different areas in the country. The National Housing Assistance Program will be addressing some of the basic housing deficiencies faced by low-income and indigent households. This program aims to provide adequate, affordable, safe, and environmental sustainable housing assistance to needy families. Mr. Speaker, Invest St. Lucia has joined in the government's efforts to address the country's housing deficits. The local agency will be partnering with a leading regional real estate developer to construct a new housing development in Belvedere Canaries. The development will offer a mix of affordable and middle-income housing options situated on 10 acres of land. It will include 81 homes in 2 phases. Meanwhile, the agency is also currently in discussions with local developer to pilot a project for multi-family condominium-style homes. The project is expected to provide 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom condos in Lafag and Choiseul within 2 buildings, each building accommodating 10 families. Construction is expected to begin later this year. Mr. Speaker, the National Housing Corporation is finalizing plans for a private sector developer for the construction of a housing estate situated at Shock in Castries. Mr. Speaker, the phased affordable housing project at Masquerade in Ansari is slated to commence this year. The required environmental and social impact assessment for the project has been completed and the lots have been surveyed. Mr. Speaker, my administration will continue to seek private partnerships with credible private sector businesses to help reduce the housing deficit in our country. Mr. Speaker, as promised in our 2025 manifesto, my administration will provide special incentives to developers beyond discounted government-owned lands to construct affordable housing projects. These incentives will include, but not limited to, waiver customs duties on certain specific building materials. To augment the financing available for housing, the St. Lucia Development Bank has negotiated a $20 million U.S. loan guaranteed by the government through the Export-Import Bank of Taiwan for housing development in St. Lucia. The St. Lucia Development Bank. In 2025, the St. Lucia Development Bank's focus has been on housing access, human capital development, financial inclusion, climate resilience, and consumer protection. A summary of the bank's lending activities for the year 2025. Approximately $11.5 million in concessionary housing financing was approved. Education finance approvals totaled approximately $6.2 million. Disbursements of approximately $13 million on the agency arrangements with the government and developmental partners, supporting MSMEs, youth entrepreneurs, and community-based tourism initiatives. A major achievement of the St. Lucia Development Bank was accreditation to the Green Climate Fund, finally secured in July 25. This accreditation elevates St. Lucia's access to global climate finance and positions SLDB as a trusted national partner for financing climate adaptation initiatives. Housing. Housing remains one of the most impactful areas of the St. Lucia Development Bank intervention and is central to the bank's forward agenda. Over the past year, targeted housing finance has expanded access to home ownership and home improvement for lower and middle income groups, supported by government's policy measures. The SLDB has secured approval for a US $20 million line of credit from the Taiwan Exim Bank, which is expected to significantly expand national capacity to address housing supply constraints. The facility is intended to support the expansion of affordable housing solutions and complement the government's broader housing strategy. Improve access to long-term, appropriately priced mortgage financing with targeted focus on traditionally underserved demographics and first-time homeowners. Provide bridging finance to support key infrastructure projects. The government of St. Lucia will provide a guarantee for this facility and expects the Development Bank to ensure that this process rolls out in an efficient manner. Strengthen payment systems and liquidity in key sectors. Supply chain issues with persistent payment delays and liquidity constraints continue to affect service providers and suppliers within the tourism, agriculture, and creative sectors, undermining income stability and the operations of MSMEs. To address this structural challenge, St. Lucia Development Bank is working in the Ministry of Tourism to revamp its express payment product, a factoring-based facility designed to improve cash flow by accelerating payments owed to service providers. The government of St. Lucia, for the National Economic Fund in 2025, invested $15 million as a fixed deposit in the SLDB to enhance its liquidity and lending capacity. Youth Economy Agency. The Youth Economy Agency remains a cornerstone of the government's strategy to expand economic participation among young people between the ages of 15 and 45, fostering socially inclusive and environmentally resilient enterprises. This initiative places young people at the center of national economic development, not merely as beneficiaries, but as drivers of innovation, enterprise, and long-term economic resilience. Grants and loans are provided to entrepreneurs aged 18 and over in accordance with the Youth Economy Act, ensuring that all supported activities align with national development activities. To date, over 2,489 youth entrepreneurs have benefited from grant financing of up to $5,000. Accommodation and food services, other service and administrative support services. Geographically, the highest number of beneficiaries are recorded in Castries, 43%, followed by Grosley, 14%, with additional participation across other districts. The agency is actively strengthening its technical capacity to accelerate loan disbursement and to address processing delays. Beyond financing, the year continues to invest in human capital development. To date, 1,221 young entrepreneurs have received training, while 126 youth have benefited from structured mentorship programs. This year, government will increase its allocation to the Youth Economy Agency. Crime prevention. Mr. Speaker, the government continues to advance a comprehensive crime prevention strategy that moves beyond reactive enforcement to a more modern system grounded in prevention, rehabilitation, and institutional strengthening. In the past year, significant progress has been made in building the policy, research, and operational foundations required to reduce crime and strengthen public safety across St. Lucia. Crime prevention and justice reform. Mr. Speaker, the government has made progress in establishing a national crime prevention framework grounded in research and data. A key milestone is the development of St. Lucia's first national crime prevention policy, informed by national surveys and statistical analysis. The findings now guide a national strategy focused on early intervention, youth engagement, and community-based prevention programs. Mr. Speaker, there has been a strong emphasis on restorative justice and rehabilitation, particularly for the work of the probation and payroll department. The efforts of the department reflect a transition towards preventative rehabilitative justice, especially targeting young people and at-risk communities. Mr. Speaker, the Bodily Correctional Facility remains central to justice reform, with a renewed focus on rehabilitation, reintegration, and improved inmate welfare. Key upgrades include enhancements of the medical units, including consultation rooms and dental services, expansion of vocational agricultural programs, including livestock and crop production, infrastructure improvements to sanitation, safety, and operational efficiency. Mr. Speaker, these initiatives reinforce the government's objective of transforming correctional facilities into centers of rehabilitation, skills development, rather than solely places of detention. Looking ahead, priorities include scaling up vocational training, strengthening private sector partnerships for post-release employment, expanding programs to reduce recidivism, strengthen emergency response and the fire services. Mr. Speaker, the St. Lucia Fire Service Mr. Speaker, the St. Lucia Fire Service has undergone major improvements aimed at enhancing national disaster preparedness and emergency response capacity. Major achievements include completion of the West Coast Sub-Fire Station, improving responsive times in a rapidly developing region, expansion of facilities at the Soufre Fire Station, acquisition of new aerodromes and domestic fire tanks, continued implementation of enhancing the resilience of the St. Lucia Fire Service project. Mr. Speaker, the Fire Service has been prioritizing training and professional development, including rehabilitation with the Upper Louis Community College to strengthen leadership and instructional capacity. National security. Mr. Speaker, our strategic approach to strengthen national security in St. Lucia is grounded in evidence, guided by results, and driven by a clear commitment to safety and well-being of our country. The 2025 crime analysis presents encouraging progress and important areas for continued attention. And it is within this context that we highlight the deliberate investments made in community policing, infrastructure training, and technology. Mr. Speaker, the Governor of St. Lucia notes the findings of the annual crime analysis for 2025. Let me repeat. The finding of the annual crime analysis for 2025, which reflects both meaningful progress and areas requiring continued focus. Between January 1st and December 1st, 2025, reported island-wide crime reduction of 5% compared to the previous year. Sustained efforts in policing, community engagement, and prevention beginning to yield tangible results. Importantly, in 2025, the number of homicides also decreased. This financial year, more will be done to improve investigative outcomes and deliver justice for victims and families. Law enforcement efforts have been intensified in other critical areas. In 2025, firearms recoveries increased, demonstrating a more proactive and targeted approach to removing illegal weapons from our communities. Additionally, detection rates for drug-related offenses remain consistently high, reinforcing the commitment of our security agencies to disrupting illicit networks. There was a general decline in major categories of sexual offenses. However, the increase in indecent acts is a matter of concern and will require targeted intervention, public awareness, and stronger protective measures. While the gains in 2025 are encouraging, the government remains committed to strengthening law enforcement capacity, investing in crime prevention strategies, supporting community-based initiatives, and addressing the social factors that contribute to criminal activity. Mr. Speaker, these initiatives will be intensified in 2026. We will continue to work with all stakeholders to build a safer, more secure St. Lucia for every citizen. Community policing efforts. Mr. Speaker, the 2-week Stand Strong summer camp Hosted for 55 adolescent participants, the camp was designed to empower young people through structured activities that build character, discipline, teamwork, and resilience. Focus on guiding at-risk and delinquent youth towards positive behaviors, equipping them with skills to resist negative influence, and encouraging strong community involvement. Complementing this effort was a Stop the Violence public service announcement campaign, which sought to raise awareness, shape attitudes, and encourage collective responsibility in reducing violence across our communities. A critical component of our preventive strategy has been direct engagement with the education system. In 2025, a total of 63 school interventions were conducted, reinforcing values of respect, conflict resolution, and personal responsibility among students, while creating safe spaces for dialogue between youth and officers. These initiatives reflect a broader commitment to proactive policing that goes beyond enforcement and will be expanded this year. Capital projects. Mr. Speaker, the security of our nation is not only defined by policy and enforcement, but by strength and resilience of the infrastructure that supports it. This government has made a deliberate and sustained investment in the following completed and ongoing capital projects that enhance our national security architecture and safeguard the well-being of our citizens. National Police, Northern Police Division Headquarters, Southern Police Division Headquarters, custody suites, drug squad building, relocation of explosive bunker, relocation of the ancillary police station, renovation of Canwich Police Station, renovation of Marigo Police Station, upgrade of the Mulashik radar site, design and construction of the police marine dock in Beaufort, construction of a radar system in Dennery, renovations at Northern and Southern bases. Every police officer now has access to bulletproof vests and access to new belts as they wanted and as they have been asking for years. This year, every police officer in St. Lucia will have access to a bulletproof vest and a modern belt, something they've been requesting for years. Mr. Speaker, in an increasing complex and unpredictable global, and I said every police officer, everyone. Mr. Speaker, in an increasing complex and unpredictable global environment, our approach to national security must be deliberate, forward-looking, and rooted in continuous investment. The government has therefore placed strong emphasis on strengthening our security architecture through targeted training, intelligence, and the integration of modern technology. By equipping our officers with advanced skills in intelligence, cybercrime detection, maritime surveillance, and investigative techniques, while simultaneously upgrading the technological tools at their disposal, we are building a more responsive, resilient, and professional security force. Some of the activities undertaken are as follows: procurement of dash and body cameras, establishment of online recruitment portal, installation and upgrading of CCTV cameras, implementation of a crime management system, criminal investigation and law enforcement, cybercrime and digital forensics, maritime and border security, legal prosecution and judicial training, human rights and social protection, human trafficking and immigration, leadership management, professional development, operational policing and tactical training, intelligence, security and regional cooperation, data research and analytic skills, technical and specialized skills, community and social policing, general police training and capacity building, training for police visibility project. Mr. Speaker, the progress outlines demonstrates that we are moving in the right direction through sustained development, investment, strategic planning, and collaborative action, the government is strengthening the foundation for national security to make St. Lucia a safe, secure, and enjoyable place for citizens and visitors. Mr. Speaker, let me assure the public of St. Lucia that the government, working with the law enforcement agency, will leave no stone unturned to ensure that this country remains a safe and secure place for all St. Lucians to live and work. Mr. Speaker, this government remains resolute in its commitment to strengthen the rule of law and ensuring that justice in St. Lucia is not only done, but done in a timely, efficient, and accessible manner for all our people. In this fiscal year, we are making a significant investment of over $11 million to modernize and transform the justice system. At the heart of this transformation is the Swift Justice Case Backlog Reduction Project, a flagship initiative designed to address long-standing delays in the criminal justice system. With the addition of new courtrooms, judges, and support staff, we are moving decisively to eliminate case backlogs and ensure that matters before the courts are heard and resolved without unnecessary delay. Mr. Speaker, we are also embracing the future of justice through technology. The continued rollout of the e-litigation platform and the digitization of case files and the modernization of our civil status registry will fundamentally change how citizens interact with the justice system. These initiatives will allow for faster processing, improved recording, and greater transparency. Importantly, we are expanding the computer-aided birth certificate program to Viewport, ensuring that citizens in the South have easy access to essential services. We are also strengthening enforcement and public safety through the Traffic Court Project. We are clearing backlogs of unpaid traffic tickets, improving compliance, and laying the groundwork for online payment systems that will make it easier for citizens to meet their obligations under the law. Mr. Speaker, we continue to build on the success of our virtual court system, which has already increased the number of hearings and reduced delays associated with the transport of inmates. With the establishment of a virtual court center at Bodley, we will further expand access to justice and improve the speed at which cases are heard and determined. In addition, we are investing in the coroner's court, strengthening our ability to conduct timely and thorough investigations and enhancing public confidence in the administration of justice. We are also making critical investments in forensic science, equipping our laboratory with advanced technologies to improve evidence detection, analysis, and case resolution. We are ensuring that justice is accessible, that cases are resolved fairly and promptly, and that every citizen can have confidence in the institutions that serve them. Digital Government Integrated Services Platform. Mr. Speaker, this government continues to modernize the machinery of the state through the DigiGov platform, an essential pillar in our commitment to improving the ease of doing business and creating greater efficiency across the public sector. As of March the 4th, 2025, DigiGov has recorded 26,743 registered users, including 4,729 new active registrants within the 24-25 financial year. This platform currently delivers 48 public services, facilitating over 106,293 transactions and generating about $19.47 million in revenue. Between April 1st, 2024 and March 4th, 2025, These figures reflect public adoption and the growing confidence in a more responsive and accessible government. Mr. Speaker, DigiGov has been implemented in 7 stages and is now successfully rolling out phase 6. As we prepare to enter the final phase, our focus is clear: to deepen efficiency, reduce administrative burdens, and accelerate service delivery for citizens and businesses alike. Page 7 will deliver the following critical advancements: scaling up service delivery with the addition of 80 digital services, expanding digital integration across government and institutions to eliminate duplication and improve workflows, strengthening cybersecurity and data protection. Central to this information is a national authentication framework, a digital ID system which will provide a secure single point of access for citizens, residents, and businesses. Work has begun on this framework. Mr. Speaker, this investment is about transforming how government works and fulfills one of the pillars on which its budget is built: improvement in government processes to enhance efficiency in the delivery of services. It's about reducing red tape, improving turnaround times, enhancing transparency, and positioning St. Lucia as a competitive, business-friendly destination. Tourism. Mr. Speaker, we have advocated the philosophical commitment to reimagine and restructure the tourism industry to allow more St. Lucians to participate and to own the industry. We are starting to bear the fruits of that effort. Mr. Speaker, it would please the House to learn that in 2025, it's estimated that 116 million was earned from said shared accommodation, Airbnb options, an increase of 43 million from 2024. We will continue to support the community tourism program as a central pillar to strengthen communities to use the assets to earn more from the industry and spread the benefits more widely. In the financial year 2026-27, we expect to launch several projects all over the island. Mr. Speaker, the community tourism program continues to provide financing for loans and grants with a total of 45 loans approved, amounting to $5 million, comprising both concessional loans and grant funding. This support was facilitated by the Carrickwood Development Fund, and the government of St. Lucia has provided much-needed capital to community-based enterprises to enhance and expand their operations. Mr. Speaker, beyond infrastructure development, emphasis was placed on capacity building and professionalism within the sector. Over 280 individuals were trained in hospitality and service delivery. The community tourism program was launched in collaboration with the Upper Louis Community College, resulting in certification of 42 community tourism entrepreneurs, each receiving a recognized hospitality qualification. A further 61 entrepreneurs are currently enrolled in the program, demonstrating growing interest and commitment to raising standards within the sector. At the national level, the Ministry of Tourism continues its work to build a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable industry through the implementation of the Tourism Development Act. For this legislation, the Ministry has made significant progress in areas such as improving standards and facilitating investment. Mr. Speaker, a total of 122 tourism projects were approved, representing an estimated value of approximately $1.22 billion. The majority of these investments, 94%, are concentrated within the accommodation sector, which will significantly expand St. Lucia's room stock and capacity to accommodate future growth. Mr. Speaker, in the area of tourism certification, over 200 operators have been certified, supported by an extensive program of inspections and outreach engagements across the sector. Equally important has been a strong performance in tourism investment facilitations. All these investments, as these investments come on stream, the shortage of rooms that is affecting our tourism performance will be reduced. This year, The investment landscape will be further strengthened with the enactment of the Economic Stimulus Bill. This proposed legislation is designed to create modern enabling environment to attract large-scale investments across key sectors, including tourism, infrastructure, agriculture, health, education, and energy. This year, the Ministry of Tourism will improve the legislative environment by updating the national tourism policy, strengthening the financial framework of the sector to ensure that we have a modern and flexible tourism industry. The National Tourism Authority, SNN, will expand St. Lucia's global visibility through the development of strategic partnerships with international sporting teams, athletes, niche communities, and global media platforms. This year, a new and modern website, enhanced digital campaigns, and expanded use of artificial intelligence to better target and influence visitor behavior will strengthen St. Lucia's marketing efforts. Investment. Mr. Speaker, we are continuing to see considerable interest from developers wanting to invest in St. Lucia. However, there are still too many administrative and bureaucratic barriers affecting the implementation of projects and doing business in St. Lucia. The Ministry of Commerce recently hosted the first Ease of Doing Business Forum, which brought the private and public sectors together with the intention to find ways to overcome the frequent bureaucratic barriers. Notwithstanding these challenges, we will continue to be innovative and proactive in offering support to locals and foreign interests who wish to invest. Mr. Speaker, for the past 4 years, Invest St. Lucia has been working on a range of projects that will continue and start in 2026. Allow me, Mr. Speaker, to refer to the projects that are substantially advanced in overcoming these challenges and have started. At Canes Miku, construction is advanced with Dreams Hotel. Cabot St. Lucia, with the golf course completed and operational, we are looking forward to the construction of residences and clubhouse throughout 2026. The Casaba Beach Resort is a 90-unit hotel that will now be managed by a new hotel chain. The Lifeco Wellbeing Center is in the first. The Lifeco Wellbeing Center is the first phase to be completed at Alia Resort and Spa, St. Lucia, at Mont Pima, with guests already welcome. The master plan includes a mix of resorts, adult-only and family, residential condos and villas, commercial and public spaces that are catered to the needs of the community and the surrounding areas. The official opening of the first hotel, the Lifeco Wellbeing Center, will be held soon. Faye Gastronomy in Viewport has expanded its artisan restaurant and food distribution outlet. Rodney Bay Marina Development work continues on the major hotel and business development at Rodney Bay Marina in an area popularly known as the Pope site. This development will include the following: 102-room hotel, 20 condominium units, bars and restaurants, offices, a supermarket complex, jetties, and a boardwalk. The development will also host the headquarters for the Republic Bank. We'll also see completion of work on the GPH Podcast Street and Super waterfront upgrade. The upgrade includes dredging at Point Seraphim, building a broadwalk from San Souci Bridge to the Vendors Arcade, rebuilding and expanding the Vendors Arcade, building of finger piers at the arcade, demolition of the old customs building, creation of parking lots, construction of a fisherman's village at Banan, and the total upgrade of the Supre waterfronts. One of St. Lucia's leading exporters, Baron Foods, has embarked on an ambitious expansion project to modernize its production facility in Viewport. The brand St. Lucia building. This project aims to develop, design, and construct a Grade A commercial office building for many of the agencies on the brand St. Lucia in Point Serapine, Castries. This entails the construction of a 7-story office building with parking covering approximately 94 square feet. This year, we are informed by the investors that Redway Beach will be transformed into an ultra-luxury resort development developed by a joint venture between Sunwind Group Royalton and Rex Resorts Group to provide a minimum of 1,000 keys, offering both European Plan EP and all-inclusive accommodations. Demolition work has been completed and construction work is expected to commence in the middle of 2026. Mr. Speaker, while I've highlighted just a few of the projects, I'm sure that the Honorable Minister for Investment will provide more details on the progress of these projects and other projects and developments in the tourism industry. The NCA. Mr. Speaker, the National Conservation Authority will expand its operations to build on the successes during the past year. The Rangers unit, which was demolished, was reinstated last year and will be expanded this year to ensure a fully functional unit. The National Conservation Authority will also pilot a lifeguard program at selected beaches to provide safety for citizens and visitors who enjoy the beaches. Creative industries and culture. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased that we are continuing to see the benefits of investing in the development of our creative and cultural industries. However, no substantial progress can be made until we get our policy and institutional framework right. We will therefore appoint a consultant to review our cultural policy, which is outdated. The last update took place in the year 2000. This year will be another exciting year for the creative and cultural sector, with plans to hold a National Fine Arts Awards program via the Cultural Development Foundation and the private sector to recognize excellence and elevate standards within the creative sector. In that program, we will recognize the Devo family for the contribution to the arts of St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, I'm extremely pleased that the CDF and UNESCO National Commission have submitted for consideration the inclusion of our flower societies and festivals, La Waz and La Marguerite, on the UNESCO representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The list presently has over 670 traditions, crafts, and performing arts from over 140 countries. We are confident that once approved, our flower festivals and societies can find their rightful place in the cultural heritage of the world. Last year, Mr. Speaker, we completed the Creative Arts Center in Ansteray, known as Le Chalet. The conversion of the Viewfort Market into a Creative Arts Center, and the construction of the Marshall Steel Panyard, which will house the Diamond Steel Orchestra. We are planning to commence work in this fiscal year on the refurbishment of the Canaries RC Church into a creative center and Bannan Community Facility to host the fantastic Music Steel Orchestra. Very shortly, we will be handing over steel pans to the Diamond Steel Orchestra and the Leon Hess Comprehensive School to support the development of steel bands. Citizenship by Investment Program. Mr. Speaker, the National Economic Fund received EC $100 million from April 24, 2025 to March 21, 2026. EC 65 million was transferred to the central government and the rest remains in approved accounts. We earned 34 million from CIP bonds and earned a further 150 million from surplus operating revenue to supplement some funding for national security, healthcare, social development, and infrastructure. A breakdown of spending is as follows: infrastructure, 55 million, national security, 4.9 million, support for WASCO, 12 million, health, 25 million, and social development, 52 million. In keeping with legislation, the unit will be making a transfer to the Sovereign Wealth Fund once its operations are established. Mr. Speaker, our objective has been to build a CIP with a robust and rigorous due diligence capability as its core. A lot has happened in the last year. We have built a unit with a capacity to meet the demands for the program with adequate staffing and enhanced training. We have complemented the amended legislation and regulations to safeguard and strengthen accountability and transparency. We will continue to expand our program by accessing the option of introducing a residency by investment component, which will enhance the resilience of the program and broaden our offerings. Mr. Speaker, this year, changes were made to our legislative and regulatory environment. An infrastructure option was made available under the CIP that allows projects in infrastructure, housing, road rehabilitation, and community infrastructure. Commerce. Mr. Speaker, when I appointed the new cabinet, a concerted effort was made to remove silos in the relationship between government departments and to promote linkages. The Department of Commerce and Business Development joining to the Ministry of Tourism is one such attempt. Mr. Speaker, the growth of the St. Lucian economy must be led by the private sector. It is where the wealth of the country is created. As a government, we are expected to provide the necessary infrastructure so that the existing businesses can thrive and new ones can exploit new opportunities. Mr. Speaker, thankfully, there is some level of alignment between government policies and the needs of the private sector. The areas of concern raised by the private sector include the labor market mismatch, where the skills available do not match the demands of the market. It's an issue that government continues to address. The establishment of TVET to provide alternative education has begun to address this issue. The government stands ready to work with the private sector on initiatives that seek to reduce the labor market mismatch. While there is the desire to do more, the government recognizes the limitation of the National Development Bank, the main lending source to secure viable funding for SMEs. Notwithstanding this limitation, the National Development Bank continues with its search for sourcing funds for on-lending to SMEs. Mr. Speaker, the ease of doing business is a high priority for the government. Together with the private sector, we'll continue to explore new ways to improve the ease of doing business in a safe and secure environment. Mr. Speaker, this government believes that incentives should be granted on merit to eligible businesses. Mr. Speaker, I wish to reassure the private sector that we are committed to working with them for a better St. Lucia. The government needs the private sector. Ease of doing business. In order to achieve greater efficiencies between the public and private sectors, I encouraged and supported the hosting of the first Ease of Doing Business Forum. We cannot build a stakeholder economy. We cannot boast of economic empowerment. We cannot benefit from a more equitable distribution of our resources if we cannot reduce regulatory barriers to business growth And if we cannot create an enabling environment that supports easy entry for new businesses, this year, a business facilitation unit will be established in the Department of Commerce to oversee the implementation of the Ease of Doing Business agenda. Electronic single window. Mr. Speaker, a long-standing issue for the private sector has been an electronic single entry window. This issue has been on the table for discussion for almost 20 years. This is a significant ease of doing business cost reduction initiative for the private sector, which will eliminate duplication of entries, multiple applications for licenses or permits with broader agencies, and in-person visits to submit applications or payments. The selection process and award of the contract should be finalized this month. EC 2.5 million has been allocated for this initiative in the 26-27 budget. Strengthen MSMEs through institutional support. Mr. Speaker, a critical pillar to building an inclusive economy is the role of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises in economic development. We will place increased emphasis on developing our small business sector by meeting the demands for business advisory services and enterprise formalization, financing of ventures, digital transformation, and market access support. We will commence the processing of transitioning the Small Enterprise Development Unit, SNN, which is a unit in the Department of Commerce, into a statutory entity with stronger, more autonomous governance structure, serving as a one-stop shop for persons wanting to start up their own businesses. It is also expected that we'll bring new legislation to this House to facilitate the new entity. We have seen the success of the Youth Economy Agency and the Community Tourism Agency, and we believe we can replicate the same in the medium, small, and micro enterprises. Review and amendment of the Trade Licensing Act. Mr. Speaker, a critical issue to restructure the business landscape in St. Lucia is the reserving of certain economic activities for nationals. Therefore, during this financial year, we'll complete the consultation and amend the Trade Licensing Act to ensure that reserve sectors are relevant to changing economic realities, support local entrepreneurship, and are aligned with our government's priorities. We'll address the issues surrounding the trade licensing regime. Strengthening local production and manufacturing. Mr. Speaker, the aspiration that cottage industries would mature and export to third countries is slowly disappearing, as they require onerous psychosanitary and processing standards. This means that to continue in business, many of our small manufacturers will need governmental support. It is for this reason that the Department of Commerce, Invest St. Lucia, Export St. Lucia, and the Ministry of Agriculture are aggressively pursuing the establishment of national processing and innovation facilities to support MSME manufacturers. I will soon receive an implementation plan which will detail the next steps, but I expect that work will start in this financial year. Mr. Speaker, as we expand commerce and develop our export sector, we must enhance our capabilities in shipping, operations, and logistics to move our products around the world. I applaud Invest St. Lucia for the establishment of the Chamber of Shipping as a private sector entity to bring together all the stakeholders to focus on these issues. In this regard, our capacity to ship our goods and products around the world is a priority, and I expect to receive at the earliest an assessment of options for St. Lucia to either lease or purchase our own vessel, which can be used in times of natural disaster which can also be used in times of natural disaster to transport relief supplies. Incentive reform and investment policy. Mr. Speaker, we will review the Fiscal Incentive Act with a view to reduce subjectivity in the granting of incentives, align incentives with national development goals, encouraging investment that generates tangible economic benefits. The new act will align with the mega investment bill. Both of these initiatives will operate separately but have the same objective of building a new, resilient, and inclusive economy. Strengthening tourism linkages. Mr. Speaker, this year, the Love St. Lucia campaign will encourage hotels and citizens to love and consume more of what we produce. In other words, we will eat what we grow, we will grow what we eat, we will use what we produce, and consume locally produced products. To support these efforts, funds will be allocated to expand this philosophy, it's a philosophy, and communities to nurture our philosophy in schools and communities to nurture our love for all things St. Lucian. Mr. Speaker, this is an important component of building resilience and diversification in the economy. Mr. Speaker, I now move to tax policy. Let me assure you, Mr. Speaker, that in this budget there are no new taxes. And the only new tax that this government has ever introduced, the only new tax this government has ever introduced is the health and security levy. And the returns on the health and security levy this year was about $50 million, while health and security expenses were nearly $300 million. And let me put on the record of the House, Mr. Speaker, that this government has never said, or this Minister of Finance, since I've been Minister of Finance in July 2021, I have never said that the health and security levy was for 2 years. I have never said it. I will never say it, because that was never the case. Just want to make it clear, Mr. Speaker, on the health and security levy. Just want to make it clear that I've never said that the health and security levy was ever for 2 years. I've never said it. Income tax policy. Mr. Speaker, since 2022, the government has provided the public and the private sector with a tax amnesty program in the form of a waiver of all penalties and taxes due up to December 2023. Further, all taxes, interest, and penalties due prior to the year 2000 have been written off. Mr. Speaker, 13,998 taxpayers have benefited from the existing tax amnesty program. Approximately each $100 million was collected. The benefit to taxpayers was $357 million in interest and penalty relief. Mr. Speaker, after discussions with the private sector, the government has decided to continue the tax amnesty program until 31st December 2027 under the following terms. 1. All interest, penalties, and fines up to 31st December 2025 on all categories of taxes will be waived. A payment schedule must be arranged with the Inner Revenue Department by December 31st, 2026 to settle all outstanding taxes. The payment schedule agreed upon must settle all outstanding taxes by December 31st, 2027. Penalties, interest, and fines will be liable on all taxes due after December 2027. Mr. Speaker, the following other tax policies will be implemented. The filing for company tax returns will be increased from 3 months to not more than 5 months. The usual quarterly payment schedules will remain. Decisions on all objections must be settled within 24 months. The Inner Revenue Department will be urged to be flexible with the taxpayer regarding payment arrangements for outstanding taxes. As soon as the necessary amendments have been enacted, all existing cumulative interest and penalties on outstanding taxes currently at 12.5% will be reduced to 6%. Steps will be taken to ensure that the Tax Appeal Board is appointed and it will function adequately. Individuals will continue to file their income tax returns by the 31st March. For the first-time land owners will have 50% on the interest paid on their loans as a tax-deductible amount. Let me repeat that, Mr. Speaker. First-time landowners will be able to claim 50% of the interest of the loans that they have paid the bank or the financial institution for the land loan. This does not include the $40,000 allowance. So even though the first-time landowner does not meet the $40,000 allowance, he can still claim the interest, 50% of the interest that they paid on their loan. This means, Mr. Speaker, that there was no incentive for first-time landowners, particularly young people, to buy land because it had no tax benefits for them. Now, a first-time land, somebody who buys land for the first time can claim 50% of the interest that they pay the bank as a tax allowable expense in addition to what they claim in the $40,000 allowance, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I now move to summarize the policy proposals of the 26-27 budget. Mr. Speaker, the proposal as outlined in this section represent a renewed commitment to improve the quality of life for all solutions, ensuring that no one is left behind as we continue to build a stronger and more secure future. Social protection. 1. All mothers of registered newborn babies will receive a one-time grant of EC $1,000 effective August 1st, 2026. We will review parental leave provisions following childbirth to better support families. We will review the Affiliation Maintenance Act. We will expand the school feeding program to ensure greater nutritional support for students. A one-time payment in November 2026 to every client on the public assistance program. A one-time payment of $700 to pensioners payable in November 26, an increase of $100 from 2025. Education and human capital development. Expand the mathematics master teachers program to address learning deficits in numeracy. Introduce a master science teacher program to strengthen science education nationally. Strengthen and expand the truancy unit in collaboration with key stakeholders to both support and enforce school attendance. Improve the prosecution unit of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force by providing 2 annual scholarships in law for police officers over the next 2 years. These officers will be bonded for 5 years to serve as prosecutors within the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. We will review the economic cost program for students pursuing law degrees. We will establish a national working group on universal early childhood education to guide policy and implementation. We will pay CXC fees for 5 subjects for every St. Lucian. A grant of $250,000 to the Center of Agricultural Development and Innovation of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College to improve the agricultural units. We will expand the semi-professional cricket and football leagues to support youth development and national sports. We will increase the subvention from $2,500 to $3,000 to private early childhood centers. We will introduce additional tax rebate for businesses that provide after-school care for employees' children. We will reduce the statutory interest on government transactions from 6% to 4%. We will introduce a tax amnesty program to waive the fines and penalties for late corporate filings at the company's registry. We will implement sandbox legislation to support innovation in financial and digital services. We will undertake a comprehensive review of the Insolvency Act to address existing concerns. We will introduce tax credits for businesses donating to special education needs programs. We will provide incentives for businesses engaged in plastic recycling and environmental sustainability. We will allocate a $1.3 million for Creative Industries Grants Program. We will increase the allocation to the Youth Economy Agency. We will increase our expenditure on tourism marketing. We will introduce an electronic single entry window to improve the ease of doing business. Digital transformation and public sector modernization. We will introduce 80 additional digital services across key government agencies, including the Registry of Companies, the Labor Department, the Citizenship Unit, the Civil Status Registry, and the Attorney General's Chambers. This will significantly reduce processing times and enhance the ease of doing business. We will implement a national authentication framework to secure a digital ID system, providing single access point for citizens, residents, and businesses. Fiscal measures and tax administration. We will reduce interest and penalties on overdue taxes from 12.5% to 6%, with the modalities to be determined by the Inland Revenue. And we will extend the tax amnesty on all taxes due up to December 2025. Mr. Speaker, infrastructure national development. We will commence refurbishment of the Parliament National Bus Terminal. We will commence repairs to sidewalks and approve accessibility for the differently able. We will introduce a new Land Use and Planning Act. We will explore a public-private partnership model for WASCO. We will commence rehabilitation of the Police Academy building at Latok. We will incentivize installation of rainwater harvesting and storage systems. We will launch an island-wide cleanup campaign to improve environmental conditions. Labor, Social Security, and pensions. We will advance discussions on a contributory pension scheme for public servants. We will develop unemployment insurance mechanisms for NIC contributors. We will establish insurance and pension support systems for farmers and fishers in collaboration with the NIC, Registered Farmers Organization, and Fisheries Cooperatives. We will advance legislation for the enactment of a diaspora bill. Targeted support for vulnerable groups. A comprehensive program through the Department of People Empowerment will be implemented to support vulnerable populations, including persons with disabilities, underserved communities, and at-risk groups. Housing repairs and improvements, installation of rainwater harvesting systems, guttering and tanks, provision of education and sporting equipment for schools, upgrading health and community centers with essential equipment, delivery of training workshops on healthy living, life skills, and sports coaching, provision of educational grants, support for small business startups and cottage industries, skills developing in tailoring, seamstress, and artisan trades, access to counseling and behavioral rehabilitation services, expansion of care, programs, construction of accessible infrastructure, provision of assistive devices, including hearing aids, glasses, walking aids, and wheelchairs. Mr. Speaker, I now come to financing the policies of these budgets. The total expenditure proposed is $2.189 billion. Mr. Speaker, based on our projections for the year 26-27 and barring any unforeseen circumstances for which we have no control, we are expecting another current surplus and primary account surpluses continuing on the path of the last 4 years. Mr. Speaker, the loans and external financing for the budget comprises of the following: Caribbean Development Bank, 30 million; European Investment Bank, 6 million; Caribbean Development Bank, 2 million; Canadian Clean Forest Climate Facility, 0.4 million; CDB Inter-American Development Bank, 2 million; International Development Bank, the IDA, 75 million; Republic of China and Taiwan, 160 million. World Bank Development Policy Credit, 2 million. Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development, 4 million. Government of Saudi Arabia, 16 million. African Export Bank, 2 million. Total 303 million. Mr. Speaker, note that the Parliament has already approved the loan of EC 160 million from the Republic of China on Taiwan and EC 75 million from the International Development Agency. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 budget is expected to be financed as follows. Recurrent revenue 1.7, capital revenue 4 million, 1.7 billion, capital revenue 4 million, grants 81 million, treasury bills 49 million, loans and external finances 302 million, total 2.1 billion dollars. Mr. Speaker, when presenting recent policy statements, you must have heard this phrase from ministers of finance, and I quote, "These are the most challenging times in which any budget has been presented in the country." All the same, never before has any minister of finance been tasked with presenting a budget when the global environment is so full of risk and uncertainty. This comment is not without merit. Preparation of the 2026 policy statement has been the most challenging since independence. However, this will not be allowed to deter this government's commitment to meeting the aspirations of its people. We are not a government of excuses. We are a government which delivers on its promises. Mr. Speaker, the war in the Middle East have meant that the global economic uncertainty and rising oil prices will become a local economic impediment for as long as this situation continues. This uncertainty regarding the cost of oil on the world market will have a direct effect on the cost of fuel in St. Lucia, albeit a lag effect, and have far-reaching effects on every aspect of our lives. Our tourism, rising cost of airlift to St. Lucia, rising cost of food, and the cost of inputs for our agriculture industry, not to mention supply chain disruptions. This is why, Mr. Speaker, I have been urging the people of St. Lucia to take responsibility for the things that are within their control and not allow themselves to be misled. Mr. Speaker, in these circumstances, we need emphatic, focus, and responsible leadership that understands that the good of the country should supersede any individual or political party interests. I am confident that these people who come in the name of love of country will be unmasked and have been unmasked. They pretend to care, but their only concern is self-interest and self-aggrandizement and political control. Mr. Speaker, the people of St. Lucia have entrusted this government to putting them first. The results of December 1st, 2025 general elections have indicated that the people has reaffirmed their commitment in the trustworthiness of this government. We promise and we deliver, however difficult it may be. Our commitment to the people of St. Lucia is unwavering. It is this reason we have been elected to serve them. Mr. Speaker, it's a trust and confidence that we do not take lightly. And that is why all our policies are aimed at improving the quality of life of our people. It is the intention of my government to maintain a society where good sense, empathy, and constructive criticism and dialogue prevails. Mr. Speaker, we are also being faced with an unspoken challenge across the world, and increasingly so at home. We are witnessing a quiet but consequential shift of falling birth rates. Mr. Speaker, because of rising prices, economic uncertainty, and shifting work patterns, many young people are delaying or reconsidering parenthood. The cost of housing, childcare, healthcare, and other necessities have altered the calculus of family life. For too many, the decision to have a child no longer an aspiration, but a question of affordability. Mr. Speaker, if we are to secure our future as a nation, we must confront this reality with deliberate and forward-looking policies. A decline in birth rate has implications for our labor force, our productivity, and the sustainability of our social and economic systems. Simply put, it will affect the very structure of our society in the years to come. This government will be encouraging responsible discussion. This government will be encouraging responsible discussion to advise on a comprehensive policy to address this issue. Mr. Speaker, the road ahead will be challenging, will require patriotism, planning, love of country, empathy, discipline, and commitment. It's a time when the people and country must come first. I'm fortified by the thought that the majority of St. Lucia continue to demonstrate their belief in this government. We will not fail them. I promise the people of St. Lucia to always dialogue with them, to give them the facts, and to take them in my confidence. Mr. Speaker, the men and women on this side pledge to work together to make our island, St. Lucia, the best place to live and work in the region. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you. I want to thank the staff of the Parliament. I want to thank the police. I want to thank the staff of all the ministries, the permanent secretaries for working in this government. I want especially to thank the staff in the office of the Prime Minister, my secretary, my personal assistant, and the other staff in the office of the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker. And I want to really thank the members of the media and everyone who believe in the St. Lucia project, who believes in the St. Lucia project, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I end with a verse from Timothy 1-7. Not that one. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power of love and of a sound mind. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, the question is that the appropriation 2026-2027 bill be read a second time. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House stand suspended until Thursday, April 23, 2026 at 9 a.m.
Honorable members, the question is that the House do stand suspended until 9 o'clock in the forenoon of Thursday, 23rd April 2026. I now put the question. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as of a contrary opinion say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Sitting suspended.
Okay. So we are there now? Okay, well, Michael, we've come to the end of a very riveting 3 hours, and exactly 3 hours. You know, I checked for my own note-taking.
Yes.
And when the Prime Minister began, it was 5:21 p.m.
That's correct.
And nowadays ended at exactly 8:21 p.m. So I don't know whether this was planned, but it seems like, you know, it's right on cue. And it has been a very gripping presentation.
Yes, Shelton, oui, d'accord. Comme nous te dit, le Premier ministre parlait pour 3 heures de temps exactement. C'est la première fois que le Premier ministre parlait autant durant la présentation obligée. Mais c'est une présentation qui était intéressante en plusieurs différentes manières, puisque le Premier ministre parlait à plusieurs différents bagages. Il parlait à son accomplissement gouvernement l'année passée, en fait. Tous ces différents accomplissements que j'ai fait, plusieurs différents, et qui aussi parlait à son plan gouvernement pour l'année là. Il parlait généralement à son en pile bagaille, il parlait santé, éducation, il parlait aussi à son agriculture, tous ces différents secteurs, tourisme, affaires touristes, mais les affaires sociales aussi. Mais ça, presque en finissement, le Premier ministre, je vais compter presque 40 différentes actions du gouvernement qui prend en ligne de l'économie, en ligne des affaires sociales, en assistance qui en différentes manières. Et en plus, le Premier ministre a répété la pièce qualité taxe neuf. Après, celle ça est mentionné, il dit, c'est Young Levy, ça c'est Health and Security Levy, ça c'est un taxe pour aider sécurité et puis santé en pays.
Yes, and Michael, the title or theme of the Prime Minister's presentation is itself very interesting, consolidating our gains, prospering in uncertain times. When you consider that our gains as the Prime Minister have been tremendous. We have had surplus budgets, we have had, things that have some time ago seemed impossible. But the Prime Minister has made it seem like a walk in the park.
Yeah.
But he's acknowledging that right now we have challenges, especially the international conflicts, like the war in the Middle East, other uncertainties where security is concerned, economic challenges and so on. So it is not a case of us thinking that our good fortune will continue almost as a matter of course, as a matter that's automatic. But we have to try to tighten up things and make sure that we manage things properly. I just want to mention very quickly, I know it's been a long day, especially for you. The Prime Minister rebuked the opposition. He said they are celebrating and they are rejoicing and they are showing like they are happy about the economic and security misfortunes and challenges that have been brought on by armed conflict and other uncertainties. And these are not things we should ever be celebrating because of political or other reasons. They are vulnerabilities that we have.
Especially in these times.
Yes. When we consider that the Prime Minister is saying that from August of this year, from the 1st of August, Emancipation Day, every newborn baby, will be given, did I say wrong, Michael? $1,000? $1,000 for every newborn baby, as a one-time payment beginning on the 1st of August, which again significantly is Emancipation Day. When you hear him talking about $200 one-time payments for people who are on the public assistance program, remember there was a re-registration, a cleaning up of the list to make sure, that everything in terms of the people who are registered, that is taken care of. But a $200 one-time payment, a $700 one-time payment for pensioners, unless I heard wrong. They will commence refurbishment of the Parliament building, which is where we are, and it isn't too long ago that we know this Parliament building looked very different than what it does now. And also construction of the V4 administrative building complex, which was due to start, but when the government changed in 2016, a halt was put on that. The Prime Minister announcing that this project is going to be resumed, resuscitated, revived, and so on. And he always says it's going to be completed. Just some of the outstanding things that we heard today.
Moi pas pour liste toutes ces dépenses là tenir quantité
moi pas impossible pour débattre.
Mais sérieusement en Shelton Premier ministre moi crois il vraiment moi de qui manière ça a fait pour pas mettre pièces qualité taxe neuf et pour bailler Jean Simplici autant qualité service soulagement nous trouver un Premier ministre a fait un bon travail tout bonnement mais Jean Simplici quand il joue un chaque bénéfice par ces actions que le gouvernement prend mais Premier ministre fait Jean Simplici changer tout ça qui est possible si l'on manière bagailler de voilà si l'on manière si tout bagaille aller même manière à ordre bagaille qui marcher mais on va savoir qui manière bagaille qui marcher avec en plus ça m'a observé qui Premier ministre m'a dit pour un chaque après chaque 3 et bien 4 fois il parlait avec demandé pour Simplici coopérer pour venir ensemble, travailler ensemble et puis discipline et faire un effort pour faire la vie marcher primaire en pays.
Oui.
Mais moi ça vous observer pour qui ça chaque mentionné rainwater harvest c'est même pas la matin
because après c'est un bagage de SP qui parle
exactement
ça c'est important Jean après c'est pas un bail nous ça ne catcher that pisika anek sorti c'est pas nous qui pour travailler pour les il va venir chaque pluie il va venir chaque pluie difficile ça va venir chaque pluie sec et puis la pluie a venir après il a pour un chait ça nous pas c'est temps sec là c'est temps drought là il a longue année en chait et la pluie a venir con chait force il a fait dommage il a fait un fall là il a croisé pont il a croisé chimé so même si pour chait après de là il venir con vengeance mais c'est nous oui mais c'est nous qui nous pour savoir
qui manière pour servir
nous pas servir ressources là pour aider nous à des temps là difficile
particulièrement nous avons qualité souffrance là Jean pays a joindre pour tant qu'à qui passe là avec quand dit Premier ministre ça pas il pas tellement nécessaire pour ni qualité souffrance là puisque longtemps monde a conservé de l'eau avec nous qu'à joindre donc alors Premier ministre a toujours et qui quand continuer faire appel ça là pour monde gens pays citoyen pays conserver de l'eau.
Oui. So Michael, the Prime Minister I think really rounded it up to see how the money that he had said in the estimates would be allocated, give more details of how it will be spent. And it was not just spending, he gave a breakdown of how that money will be raised. Because yes, it's okay to say, we will spend so much money on the youth economy, we will spend so much money, but where are you getting it from? And he gave a breakdown of what banks, that the money, Caribbean Development Bank, Inter-American Bank, whether the Saudi or Kuwaiti government are going to give us grants or loans and so on. And so he said where the government is looking to get that money from, and so on. Loans from banks, credit nations, as we call it. As a matter of fact, we know that the St. Jude Hospital project was a loan from the Saudi Arabian as a creditor nation. And it's not just the completion of St. Jude and the commissioning, but we will see a return of our national stadium, which has been out of use as a sports facility, severely curtailed for a long time. So these are the kind of things that your appropriation bill lays out, you understand? And then we are going to have the debate of that appropriation bill, but I won't say if it is, when it is, I think it's almost a foregone conclusion unless something drastic. When it is passed by the House and formally assented to and goes through all the processes in the Senate and so on, then it will become the Appropriation Act 2026-2027.
Eh bien, oui. Eh bien, nous venons au bout quand nous tenons ça, ça c'est quand consiste quand viré en assemblée, ça c'est jeudi à 9h matin pour ces différents membres du Parlement faire contribution à sous présentation Premier ministre, ça c'est ministre pour Finances, honorable honorable Philippe J. Pierre. So yo tout cas différent parler, ça a changé, ça a commencé à jeudi. Demain yo a posé pour peut-être préparation pour ces différentes contributions. Mais nous avons dévié ici à jeudi si vous voulez à 9h matin pour discuter enfin mener face au public exactement qui mène y passer. Shelton, merci un peu pour participation, contribution avec moi ça c'est nom ça c'est affaire même avec nous ça dit merci un peu pour Shelton qui accompagne moi aujourd'hui. Merci aussi pour Riani qui était ici et puis moi plus bonheur, ça c'est pour l'autre session nous tenir plus bonheur. C'est technicien avec tout travail GIS, tout ces gens qui aident faire présentation ça là aujourd'hui pour aider mener à ce NTN. Nous avons dit merci un peu, une bonne soirée et nous avons vu maintenant à studio GIS NTN.